Hello, good day, good morning, wherever you are watching from. My name is POA. Today is a serious matter. A lot, when I mean a lot is really happening in the real estate space. I'm going to make this video as short as possible, but I will be giving out important information. Now, one of the first information I'm going to be giving you today is, if you know you have a property, you bought a landed property in Ekpe, go and verify your property. A lot of property in Ekpe has been acquired by the government, so it is very important for you as an investor, okay, to make sure now that this kind of thing is happening in Ekpe, you go again to go and verify the landed property you bought or you buy in Ekpe. That is one, okay. That is not my bone of contention today. I just give you that as a very first information. Now, number two, many things is happening in the real estate space. A lot is happening. If you know, you know. So last week, somebody reached out to me and tell me, oh, POA, I want to get a property. I want to buy a property in Lekki County, and I need you to do a verification for me and all of that. So I said, okay. We came on board for the client, and eventually we requested for a lot of documents, which the developer of that property actually gave us those documents. The document is actually the property is actually a governor consent property, and it gave us everything we need. So during the course of our findings or our research on the property, we realized that this particular property was actually on a mortgage. Do you see? This property was actually on a mortgage, okay. And you know, if there are some developers that, or there are some investors that they are very convinced to, you know, to a level that once they see governor consent, they see every document they need on the property, they will just go ahead and buy the property, okay. Now, this particular property was on a mortgage. You know what this means? It means that when you buy, or when you bought that kind of property, you can buy the property, but trust me, that property doesn't belong to you, because you don't know that the land is actually, or the house is actually on a mortgage. So probably after some time, 5-10 years to come, or even before 5 years 10 to come, things happen, okay. Things happen, and you need to probably you want to make that property an asset to convert to cash, or things might happen, okay. And when things happen, that is when you now realize that this property that I'm taking possession of, it doesn't actually belong to me, because the mortgage company will come, okay, and they have every necessary information, they have every important document with them as well, to claim that that property belongs to them. So it is very, very important when you are buying a property, you don't just stop at what a developer said. And this leads me to, you know, there are some person as well, you know, during the course of, you know, our work and all of that, especially in Lagos, when they bought a property, they make their the property a priority, and they make the documentation a less priority. It is wrong. So on this video, I'll be giving you 3 important reasons why you need to make your documentation as important as you buying that particular property, okay. Number 1, I would say legal ownership, okay. It gives you legal ownership and protection. So paying for a particular property only gives you a possession of that property, but proper documentation gives you legal ownership of that particular property you paid for, okay. And this will actually save you against any future dispute, or any dispute that might want to arise on that particular property. But when you don't do your documentation, when you only pay for a property, okay, and you leave it alone, if dispute arise, there might be chances that you lose that particular property. There might be chances because you don't have a proper documentation of that particular property, okay. And another one is, it gives you protection against fraud. Let me say fraud, yes, okay. Issue that might arise on a particular property, one of them is multiple sales, okay. The seller of a particular property can as well sell for another person, and the person they sold for will just go ahead and do the documentation. And once the person eventually succeed in doing that documentation of that property, you are not the legal owner of that property, okay. Issue might arise, issue from multiple sales, omonile wala, and even government acquisition issue. So when government acquisition issues arise, you are not the legal owner of that property. So it is very, 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 very important for you to take your documentation as important as anything, okay. The energy you use You know, this is actually because a lot is happening, and I can't afford, or I keep seeing people losing money on a daily basis. Okay, just because of some little mistakes. Okay, another one I'm going to be giving you: investigation if government issue arise, stress and uncertainty on ownership. All of these are issues that might arise when you buy a property and you fail to do proper documentations. A lot of stress are involved. That property, as we speak, you are only taking possession of it. So today, I've talked about people that bought in Ekpe, that I've talked about people that bought land in Ekpe and that abandon it. Go and verify your land again. Okay, I've also given you a scenario of somebody that want to buy a land, and eventually we realize that that house or that property is actually on a mortgage. And I also give you a little advice that I can, okay, on you owning a property and leaving the documentation alone. So when you do all of this, it's like buying a house or building a house on a borrowed land. It will eventually be taken away. So please and please, take your documentation as you know, as important as buying that land. Okay, take it as important as my name is POA, and I'm a real estate consultant in Lagos, Nigeria. I have property. If you want to buy property, I have in Lekki Phase 1, I have in Ologolo. I have a project that is actually 80% ready on the mainland, Okoba to be precise. And we have so many projects. Okay, slide into our DM for any inquiry and for any consultation. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.